Hey, this is Jesse, and today I'm going to be talking a bit about dreams. I've recently woken up, and I'm guessing that maybe I'm not in the right frame of mind to sort of start talking, just in general, but I had a dream. I'm one of those people that will talk about dreams whenever they have them, and my dream this time was, it's a strange one. I don't always dream about myself, and this time I dreamt about a man with one leg, and he was just trying to get attention. Like he was frustrated that he couldn't get any attention. It's odd. Dreams are always quite elusive, especially after you've woken up and you've forgotten half the dream. Perhaps I should have wrote a little note about the dream and actually had something to say a bit more than just, it's a man with one leg and he's trying to get attention. Or maybe I should have done something more than that. But I've always had strange dreams. It's one that I can remember from when I was really young. It was more of a nightmare. There was this crab sort of toy thing on like a mobile, like a baby's sort of mobile, where they hang up and spin around. There was like a crab on one of those, and I went to go sort of touch it. The crab falls off. I start screaming my head off as a child in my dream, and the lights come on in the hallway, and I hear my parents run upstairs, and that's when I wake up. There's just other strange things from when I was younger, thinking about it now, where I used to have, I don't think anyone remembers this personally, it's like anyone else remembers this. I've spoken to my mum about this, but I remember when I was younger having strange, I guess it's auditory hallucinations. That's how I sort of imagined it. That's what I'm thinking about it now as an adult. That's how I can describe it now. I couldn't describe it back then, but I'd hear things like drums constantly playing when I was in bed trying to get some sleep, and they'd get louder and louder, or sometimes just some really high-pitched noises. I'd get out, I'd actually see things sometimes. Like I used to have this bunk bed because I used to sleep in the same room as my brother, and I had this big bunk bed, and there's these big sort of teeth, these sort of jagged teeth. I was on the bottom bunk, and his teeth would come down over the bottom bunk, so it looked like I was inside something being eaten. It was strange, and this one time I thought I could see snakes sort of coming up around the stairs, sort of crawling, and all whilst this stuff's going on, there's this loud thumping inside my head. I don't know what it was. It was just a thing that happened. One time, I was pretty sure I was deaf at a point. I'd get out of bed screaming. Couldn't actually hear myself scream. I wasn't scared. Obviously, I was screaming. I wasn't scared about the fact that I couldn't hear. I was scared about what I was hearing in my head. I could still hear stuff in my head, but I couldn't hear my own voice outside, my external voice screaming, and I couldn't hear my parents' voice when I was trying to explain. I kept pointing to my ears, saying I can't hear, but I couldn't hear myself say I can't hear. So I just had to go on facial expressions from what they were doing. Whether that was a dream or not, I have no idea, because no one else seems to be able to remember this sort of stuff. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that didn't happen at all. It's odd to talk about right now, and it's odd to sort of think about, because what if it did happen? What if I do remember having eardrops as a child to sort probably like an ear infection out. I don't know. I'll spare the details on ear infections and stuff if you don't want to hear about that. But it's strange, and I know I keep saying that, and there's nothing more I can say to that. Moving on. As a child, I did run away a few times. Ran away from school in, I think it was year 2. I think I ran away from school in year 2. I ran away from school, and I was in the paper for it. I didn't run away anywhere special. I ran straight home. The story behind it was, I was going to like a dance after school, sort of young, sort of dance class sort of thing, and I just didn't want to go. So I casually walked out of school, went down the hill, crossed a busy main road, and walked home from there. And I was in a paper for that. I don't remember what the paper was talking about. Whether it was talking about the school and how the school failed to sort of notice that someone was missing, or whether they were talking about me. I didn't spend time to read it. Funny enough, in the picture in the paper, I was the only one smiling with the family. But that wasn't the only time I'd run away. In secondary school, which would be high school, I guess for any Americans listening, I ran away and I went a bit further. I didn't go home. I ran the opposite direction of home, which was out towards the woods and the fields and stuff like that. But I had no sense of direction. I didn't know where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. And after a while, I became bored of just walking. So silly enough, when there was a dog walker, this older woman was walking up, I decided to sort of pretend that I was lost. Well, I didn't pretend I was lost. Strangely enough, I got down in the grass, struck a pose, I guess, to look a bit younger. I was just staring at blades of grass, being curious about the grass, I guess. And then I got up, and as she walked by, and I said, "I'm lost. Can you take me home, please?" And this woman sort of walks with me. We did a bit of talking. I don't remember what we were talking about though. But we got out of the woods, and there was the police waiting there to pick me up. Which, she looked surprised. I get that, but it was just something that happened. It's stupid things that young people do. Stupid things that I've done, personally. I can't think of... Back in school, I used to enjoy basketball. I'm quite a tall person. I'm 6'1" now. So back in school, I was quite tall. And I used to like playing basketball, throwing stuff about. I guess throwing stuff about is just fun in general. But I didn't have many people to talk to. Or at least I'd stick close to like a group of friends. A group of friends that are quite neutral in the aspect that school tends to be divided up between different personalities of school children. So you'd have the sporty sort of kids on one side, the funny, just having a laugh sort of kids on the other side. The more sort of socially orientated, when I say socially orientated, I mean socially orientated around social media. You know, that was a thing. And you have girls who tend to usually stick together. You'd have, the popular sort of people on one side. It was very fractured as a community. You wouldn't expect a community to be that fractured. But that's how it was. And I was part of the group where it was people from all different sort of areas. People could just drop in and out. But I'd always have these three friends that I could always talk to, and they'd always be in this group. I did have a childhood friend. I guess we sort of grew distant in a way. We both do the same things. We both like being on a computer and that sort of thing, but he went towards the talking to strangers and stuff, or, well, not talking to strangers. This is my bias towards just being in Skype calls and stuff like that with people that might have just met online. It's a strange thing to think about for me. I've done it. I've sort of spoken to people, but when I'd go around there and see him talk to people, he did talk to people, it would seem distant. It seemed like they're having a joke and stuff, but that's all they could do, was just have a joke. You know, you couldn't really speak to someone on a personal level if it's someone you've just met. And I think that's what I want to be able to have, someone that I can properly talk to. But in that sense, I don't have many people to talk to right now. I've steered well away from that sort of side of things. In college, in my first college, which was the music college I went to, well, in my first college I went to, I dropped out of it, so you can sort of skip that part. But in the college after that, it was a music college, and I did my music. I met lots of different people down there. I did make friends with them. Music colleges kind of split up in a way that people have different music tastes. So when I first went there was lots of rappers, wannabe rappers, doing their thing, getting angry about stuff. And there was the guys who liked rock music, and they were doing their own thing. But I was there with my old friend. He was also there. He turned up one day, saying that he saw the ads, and he was just there. I was there before him, but when he turned up, it was a bit of a weight off my shoulders, because I knew I could still talk to him, and we could make the same sort of music together. Or I tend to jump around from different genres, so I was making different genres on a daily basis. I think that's how this podcast is going. I don't have a set theme for the podcast. It's just me jumping around from different ideas on a daily basis. Whether it's going to be a daily basis, I still haven't decided, but that's what it's shaping up to be now. with these 4 videos I've put out. And with that said, I'm not too sure if I should put my face up on this podcast. I'm thinking that, this is a thought I had last night, I'm thinking that if people, when YouTubers have their face up on something, or when YouTubers start making videos, do they then subjectively fall into like a labeling system of themselves? Because you just get known for being that guy that does this or does that. Whether or not I want to add examples to that, I guess I can. I'm not really. I was thinking about H3H3 Productions. They're a couple, and Ethan and Ela, and they're known for being kind of goofy and calling people out sometimes when that stuff has to happen. They're just known for that. I know they can do different things. I know this is like something they could do more than what they're doing now. I know they can do that. But if the public want to see them being goofy and doing goofy things, that's what they're going to lean towards more, because that's what makes a bit of money, I guess. That's what gets the views as well. I think being an entertainer, you have to. This is not planned, what I'm doing now. I'm coming up with new thoughts on the fly right now, and what I'm thinking is, as an entertainer, I guess you do have to stick to what you know, because that's what the audience comes to see. You can't put on a Broadway show and suddenly change it between different acts and different shows, because the audience didn't come to see you make a different show. They came to see what they wanted to see. You can't slap a title on something and change something that you've been doing for years just because. The audience wants to see what they know. The audience wants to see what they have been comfortable with for years. They don't want to see anything different. So I think that's why with music I didn't want to stick to one thing. I don't want to be just into rock and roll or into rap, saying that I never was into rock and roll or rap. But with the podcast, I don't want to be stitching myself into a certain theme when I could be doing anything else, and my mind tends to wander anyways, and I tend to get rambling. I have no script, I have no nothing. I will be cutting out lots of ums and ers, as I mentioned in the first thing, but I think this is where I'm going with what I want to do. This is an example of how I think. So it's only been 4 videos, and I'm already talking about the future. 4 videos, I mean, that's it. My mind is already caught up on something so small. Maybe I'm doing this for myself. Maybe this is like a small peace of mind sort of thing right now. But it is nice to know what people might think at the end of the day. And it's nice to know that people are there to listen. So, with that said, I thank you for sticking around and listening to this podcast. Goodbye.